Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Jet Protocol community update. Thanks for joining us, and we'll kick things off with some quick intros. My name is James Morrow, co-founder of Jet, previously of the Consensus and MetaMask cohort, and Looney as well. Before this, Will.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Will. I've been a developer for pretty much my whole career. I'm of the Consensus and MakerDAO cohort, and been working in DeFi for quite some time. Basically, seeing a lot of I've seen it grow up, and sort of rolling up a lot of my experiences into Jet, and I think definitely saw like a good gap in the market here and wanted to just work together to address it.
I'll go next. Yeah, I'm Logan, and I'm new to DeFi and blockchain technology in general. I haven't been around as long as Will or James, not at all, but I'm the front-end developer here at Jet, and used to playing punk rock bands, and nothing's more punk rock than a decentralized system. So
Yeah,
that's what we're building. Yeah.
Nice. Hey guys, I'm Drew. I just also recently started here at Jet. Also kind of new to DeFi and blockchain technology. My background is in finance, but I worked at like centralized exchange commodities market where we had derivatives trading. And before that, I studied physics in school, got a bachelor's in physics. But while working at my last job, I realized like blockchain is the future. The concept of like decentralized trust just enables the next level of automation, like transitioning from like when robots started making cars in factories. Like it's like the same kind of thing. For now, it's like the next generation of corporate structure is going to be automated. And I just think it's so awesome how like the barrier to entry is like next to nothing for, anybody can get involved. So I've been really excited about blockchain, and I'm so happy to be starting here at Jet. And I just see Solana as it's like the next level past Ethereum. Like I think Solana's gonna be huge. So I'm really excited to build Jet Protocol.
All right, thanks, Drew. So
Awesome.
Just give a quick update on the project and the company. So Will and I started Jet about 2 months ago, or 2.5 months ago. It's tough to tell. Time has flown by, but we recently announced our seed round closing, and we have some pretty awesome investors and angels in our back that have our back, and which has been really great. And yeah, basically, we kicked off the Solana season hackathon a few weeks ago as well, and so we submitted our projects, and there's a lot of other good projects that submitted, and so we're really excited to see what the outcome of the hackathon is. But really today, what we want to kind of go in on is where we're at with the product technically, and what the community can expect from us and how to get involved. We already have pretty active and thriving communities on Discord and Telegram, which is a great start. We're really grateful for all the community participants and people that have kind of stepped up to help us moderate. We actually have some more information coming about how to get involved as well towards the end of this call. But I think what we'd like to do first is kind of go over some of the high-level architecture of Jet Protocol and some of the design and technical decision making that went into that. So, Will, if you want to go from there.
Yeah, everyone who's developing on Solana or familiar with it, generally familiar with the SPL token library. There's a whole long list, pretty good reference implementations there. There's a lot of books they're building off of, and they're also the underlying implementation for other projects and how they've sort of built upon it. And what really sort of started Jet was we always see lending and borrowing lending is a core thing for a lot of blockchains. I mean, they emerged pretty early on Ethereum, like compound Aave, and they all like are built native to that blockchain. They use, typical 15-second Ethereum block times, and they're built around the EVM and like the EVM's constraints. And so I competed in the first Solana hackathon and really liked working on it, but the product that I was trying to create at the time, structured products, was like it was infeasible to do it. There wasn't really that much liquidity. So like we talked it over, like me and James, like what we wanted to build, and it was like pretty clear that there wasn't like a bar lending protocol in Solana, like in the traditional sense, that serves that very like specific purpose. And so it sort of just took a life of its own. Now we're here actually building it and have like an MVP ready for release quite soon. But like how we got there was, we saw the token lending repo, the reference implementation, and it was written, the standard Solana program style. And we were thinking like, well, if we're going to like take this code and then re-engineer it very quickly, like this probably isn't the best state for it to be in. And we also just wanted to bring things up to speed to like a more more modern Solana development cycle where we could change things quickly and like test things instead of spending like too much dev. Like the trade was like, there's a lot of dev power to make changes to this program, and we're not really sure like what the market wants yet. We know they want lending, so that's implemented, but like adding features on top of that is like the imperative goal beyond that, and like really having the community provide input on that. So we immediately just made the decision to port this to Anchor, and making changes along the way that we thought just made it so much easier to work with, especially with the RPC client, and allowing it to be connected to a front end with much less work. So that was the decision we made right off the bat.
Maybe you could just talk about the Anchor framework real quick for those that don't know.
Oh yeah, so Anchor really simplifies a lot of Solana development. It's a big macro-based framework you can define the accounts that you want to input in the transaction, and it'll create the instruction set for it. And it does all that like under the hood. You don't have to think about it. And there's a lot of overhead I've always found with doing that, and defining your entry point into a program and then having to split it up. Like you can basically write the functions that you need, define the accounts that you need for that function, all in, for a simple program, it can be all in one file, one library file. And then it, you can Anchor build, Anchor compile, and Anchor test. It has a testing framework. And it's, like I guess the Ethereum analog would be like Truffle or like dApp tools or any, I'm not really sure like what the big ones are, but I know Truffle is probably the best like one-to-one comparison. And so we made that change. We made a few tweaks along the way to the original code, and we'll be open sourcing it soon. And the selling point is like with this port, having this new repo with everything in Anchor and open sourcing it, like really puts us in a position to like in a very quicker iterative development cycle where we can implement changes and test bed new products quicker than having to just make changes to the bigger repo. And this is the point where we formed a team. Logan and Drew joined, and we're thinking very heavily on the concepts and the changes we'd like to see and integrations with other protocols like Serum Dex. And we've talked to most projects in this space at this point. So that's where we're at. And as I said, we have an MVP release, front end, back end, very soon. Just ironing out a lot of the intricate blockchain issues. But that is upcoming.
Specifically on Devnet. Yeah.
Everyone
will have an opportunity. Anybody that will be sending up an update about how to join that test and use it right out of the gate. So I think what we talk about next is kind of discuss how we're thinking about this iteratively and some of the ideas that we're thinking about in terms of features on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we've thought, I mean, one of the focal points of Jet was liquidations, because it's, it's of paramount importance. It's like, the function that should work, that needs to work all the time, and making sure the protocol is solvent and making sure people get liquidated appropriately, like in a timely fashion. And yeah, we figured, we really solved the liquidation problem. We can even tighten down the minimum collateralization ratios for some of the reserve assets. And yeah, on that like basis alone, Jet can compete like with the C ratios on Compound and Maker, which is 150%. So yeah, I mean, tighter collateralization ratios, as long as they can, underwater positions can be liquidated, is much more capital efficient. So yeah, we thought about how to handle this, and it's beyond just the standard like liquidation bot. And one concept we really like is using Serum as a backend to either push liquidations or like swap liquidations. One being the Anchor Serum swap feature, where users can, if they're going to be liquidating someone, they're paying down their debt and then basically seizing their collateral. So, but a lot of times people don't want to be left with the collateral that they're liquidating. So this concept is like a risk-free liquidation, where you liquidate and then you immediately swap back into the asset that you used to pay down the debt with. So yeah, we were thinking about this, and yeah, there's a few things that we've also seen in the market as well, is like, when you do swap on Serum, you do pay fees. So like that has to be calculated before you perform the swap, or else you'll just be costing yourself money, depending on how like profitable the margin is on the liquidation. And so yeah, we've been discussing that, and in addition to that, we thought MSRM, Mega Serum fee rebates, would be like a good way to like add to the profit allowed for that. And yeah, that's what we're thinking right now. I think how that would work, we're discussing as a team, and also it like needs to be presented to users in a certain way, and like they need to approve that sort of action is appropriate. Like it can't just be like levied upon users without them agreeing to it. Like they need to sign off on the transaction. And how we were thinking about this as well is like, how will we present that on the front end? And yeah, Logan actually came up with this idea of Copilot, which is like the sort of the perfect way to start building the front end and like building what Jet is in terms of showing people what they can do with their money by like looking at what's on the market and like where they can swap, and like what they can sort of like the options available to them based on market condition, right? So yeah, like if you wanted to like discuss that, Logan, if you'd be like interested in kind of talking more about Copilot, I think it's a pretty sweet idea.
Yeah, so the way that I've been thinking about front end, so I've been building out the front end of Jet completely from scratch. I didn't want to use really any component libraries or anything like that to try to minimize the amount of just sort of boilerplate, because I want to, there's not a lot going on in terms of just DeFi in general, especially on Solana. And the whole point of a decentralized system is low cost of entry in terms of how much knowledge you need to have for the blockchain for finance in order to, start depositing some assets and basically use the protocol. So in terms of an overall front end design schema, I wanted to build everything from scratch and design it in a way where pretty much anyone can get the gist of what they need to do and how it works just from the UI alone. And kind of coming off the top of that, I had this idea for the Copilot. There's some pretty extensive knowledge that somebody could have when they're using anything in DeFi, especially a lending protocol. So what if there was an automated sort of AI that could read the market, take a look at your wallet and see which assets you have, and depending on the, the APYs within the market, the current prices of the assets, and your financial position at that moment in time, you can click on the Copilot and they'll say, hey, it looks like a great financial decision would be to execute this sort of, sequence of transactions. And, you can read through it and you can click, okay, sounds good, let's do it. And then on the back end, this automated Copilot would basically execute a bunch of trades, basically granting you the highest, let's say, like annual percentage yield on a deposit for one move, or if your account is in not so great standing, what would be the best way for you to either deposit more collateral or repay your debt in order to put your collateralization ratio back into the green, basically. And so that was the idea I had, is what's the easiest way to show people, how to maintain their financial wellness on Jet. And as we iterate on this, at first in the MVP, it's going to be almost like base error handling and suggestions based on your current, position. And then we want to iterate over this and actually create, almost on top of Jet protocol itself, as the front end, an automated AI that will suggest a series of moves to users that will put them in good, in better financial standing than they already are. And that would be the Copilot.
And that would be opt-in. You could, if you're opt-in. A power user, if you're a power user, make your own trades for sure. Yeah.
If you don't like if you don't like a passenger seat driver, then you can just shut it right off.
Yeah, kind of like the Copilot could really serve anybody in a way, by forming complex deal structures, so you don't have to build them on your own. So in theory, it could be useful even to a power user and show all the details. If you're interested, it's oh, this is exactly the series of steps that are going to be executed atomically as one thing. And it's not going to be executed unless it's all executed. So it can sort of facilitate whatever level of complexity you want to work with. Of course, this is we'd be doing this incrementally, figuring out what level of complexity is practical for us to add. But I kind of see a vision of no matter what your workflow is, we want to try to make it as easy as possible for you to do that.
Yeah, and that's a good note that I should touch on a little bit more in detail, rather than I kind of just touched on it with a button basically authorizing this sequence of transactions. But the only time that the Copilot would kind of inject to kind of interrupt you is if your account was in bad standing, just to kind of remind you. But in terms of the actual suggestions of, hey, we just kind of researched the market real quick with our back-end algorithm, and we think that maybe these would be a good set of moves for you to make. That's just all, obviously you have to authorize that. You don't even have to click on the Copilot to get any suggestions if you want. It's just there for anyone if they feel like they need to use it.
Yeah, so I think one thing would be pretty exciting is if we could do a little show and share, if there's anything visual we can provide.
Yeah, I will show my screen real quick.
Awesome.
Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
So basically, welcome to the Jet marketplace. At this point, a user would have visited, our application and connected their Phantom wallet. In this case, our MVP, we're utilizing Phantom. We will eventually add the Solana wallet adapter so that people can use Solet Math Wallet. But right now, Phantom is a really great tool, and they make it very easy for the user and for the developer. So for MVP, we're rocking Phantom. Here's your marketplace, basically your radar on your Jet to see what's going on within the Jet protocol marketplace. You can look at any of our assets, check out the details. From there, you can view the history, make a deposit, you can borrow, and then we have your cockpit, basically your dashboard of your current financial position within the Jet marketplace. How much value you've deposited, how much value you've borrowed, and then therefore your collateralization ratio. And we like to keep these sort of big basis numbers really visible and really clear to the user. Like I said, we want a really low cost of entry. A lot of competing protocols. The main thing that I notice across blockchains and across most DeFi lending protocols is there's a lot of information, like we said, like, you know, if you're not somebody that, let's say you're one of the people that doesn't need Copilot, then yeah, that's great for you because you've got a lot of knowledge within the space. But for most people, you know, like I mentioned before, the goal of a decentralized system is mass adoption anyway. So how do you get mass adoption? You have to make a low cost of entry in terms of the knowledge that you need in order to use it. So we keep this information as clear as possible, the user interface as clean and simple as possible. You know, you've deposited this much DAI, this is how much you've earned. Go ahead and redeem some of it if you'd like, you know. Accessibility wise, if you like a dark screen, if you're up all night making those trades and you don't want to be bleeding from your eyes, you know, we can switch that off. And then, you know, here's the Copilot. Let's say that you've got Solana in your wallet, and Solana happens to be the highest deposit APY within the market at that moment. Let's say the Copilot analyzes the market and your current position and says, Solana's looking good right now, and explains to you that, you know, since it has the highest APY within the market and you have 3.81 SOL, you might want to consider depositing some collateral. And then if you click on, you know, let's do it, it would basically go ahead and just redirect you right now. But again, like the overall goal here would be that eventually we would sort of cook up a series of transactions to actually be authorized by the user, and then the Jet Copilot would go ahead and execute those transactions for you.
Yeah, I love it.
That's
And also
awesome.
on like sort of the flip side is like, if the market's going down, you know, I mean, on the other side of things, the market does go down, like, and people start, you know, people need to cover their positions. It's like, okay, hey, like, here's the balance of tokens in your wallet. Like, here's the set of actions you can do to, you know, bolster up your position. Or it's like, okay, you can swap this for this on Serum or anywhere else, and like use it to pay down some debt. And then like, you know, you do sort of, you know, take your own collateral and use it to pay down debt. But like, sort of the only other alternative there is if the market continues going down, then you're going to get liquidated, and then you're going to pay a liquidation fee. So, you know, the idea is like, make sure the user is aware before that happens, and allow them, like, at least give them you know, as many options as you can to address their situation before, you know, ultimately, if there's, you know, no action, then it's just liquidation. So yeah, I love it.
The last thing I'll note about that is that, like I said, the only time that the Copilot will be sort of an interruption into your usage of the Jet like protocol, like front end, would be in that exact scenario. As you're approaching, you know, the minimum collateralization ratio, as you get closer and closer, Copilot might bug you a little bit more and more, that maybe you might want to, you know, fix your position until you would get to that point where, unfortunately, you know, we'd have to really stress that you're about to be liquidated, you know. So we have the user's best interest in mind, and that's the whole idea behind the Jet Copilot, is that we're trying to help you out, basically. We don't want you to be, you know, blinded, or, you know, we don't want you to basically be hit by any sort of liquidation that you don't see coming.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Copilot in that situation is like, it's like speeding up your like correction of the situation. Like, you may even be aware, and it's not like you don't know how to do it. It's just that, like, when it's like an emergency situation, the Copilot will pop up and say, here's the like one button you have to click to, like, that. It's sort of like saying, here's the quickest way to correct your situation. Just click this, and like it'll explain what it is. But it's like, so you don't have to go through the UI and say like, all right, how do I do this? How do I do that? And it'll just, like, you know, like when the market's moving really fast, you don't want to have to deal with that. So it could even be like two options in there, where it's like, option one is like eject. It's like, just get out of your position. And option two is like deposit more. And it could always like check your wallet, your Phantom wallet, to see like, what is your balance? Like, is that even an option for you? Like, click deposit or not. There's lots of different directions you can go with that.
The user could authorize Jet Copilot to basically take control of the wheel. I don't know what they'd call it on there. It's not quite a wheel, but you know what I mean? Let me steer us back into, like, you know, less turbulence over here, and then, you know.
Yeah.
That's awesome, guys. Thanks for going over the front end. And I think, you know, definitely looking forward to getting to people using it and getting feedback on it and improving however we can. The next topic we want to cover is kind of our beginning approaches to governance, and how we're thinking about governance from the Jet protocol perspective, and kind of how we're the early stages of how we're planning to implement it. So right now, we're creating the discourse forum for Jet, which will probably be invite only at the very beginning, but basically we're going to open up access to that shortly. And we really want to just start getting people having constructive conversations regarding all aspects of the path forward for Jet protocol. So that's anything from feedback on the UX, potential integrations that the community would like to see, conversations about tokenomics or any of those things. So it'll be a discussion forum at first, but one of the things that we're wanting to make sure that one of the things we want to make sure is present in the future is kind of a clear path towards the protocol users being able to govern itself. And so we are planning and evaluating the governance module on a Solana right now, and that's going to enable things anywhere from upgradable program logic to proxies to debt ceilings, things like that. We've definitely taken some inspiration from the existing governance we've seen on the DeFi protocols on Ethereum, as well as some of the layer one kind of governance implementations we've seen on other blockchains. And given the existing governance module, we'd like to kind of think through how we can best implement it. And so, Will, I don't know if you want to run on that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I worked at Maker and sort of have that in terms of governance, like the governance pedigree at Maker. Like Maker was I think they have a very interesting governance system. It works. I think it's a good governance system, given its time in the market and its path. Maker was one of the earliest projects to do this, and Maker has you can, as long as you can get enough votes to surpass the last vote, you can stage a vote and change pretty much almost anything on Maker, any of the risk parameters, debt ceilings. You can swap out modules. It's a very powerful governance system, but you have to. So if you are able to secure enough votes, you can surpass the last vote, and you basically cast that vote. Then you go into this waiting period, and you go from I'm not sure what the current waiting period is. Though initially it was there was actually 0 waiting period, but it was boosted up to 24 hours. As long as you could defend that for the duration of those 24 hours and maintain control of that, as long as you can stay the highest voting spell, that you would then it would ultimately cast, and all those changes will be applied to the system. And they do this frequently. I've written many spells for Maker and deployed metric ton of dollar amount of collateral to Maker with this spell system. And the community has their input as well. If you go on the Maker forum, it's a very rich but also pretty fiery there debates. And yeah, that's sort of the way it is, right? You start discussing this stuff out in public, it's gonna be spicy. People are gonna have disagreements, and it's gonna be out in public. It's a decentralized organization, and yeah, that's the we don't at Jet we don't get there. We don't get there overnight. We don't get there in 3 months.
It's not a technological solution. Yeah, it's art as well as the science here.
It's a brutally hard thing to figure out, and people will sort of spin up projects and be just not really focused on governance at all. it's really like the hardest part. I mean, it really is. Like, you can't just like build a project and just like blast the token out, because then you got a bunch of apathetic voters who don't understand what you're voting on or what they're voting on, like, or you don't, like, voter participation is very low. And yeah, and so from the outset, like, Chet, we want to reward people who are contributing or like known, and start contributing on the forums or just like any way, right? It's like there's no like we have no Asana board where like this needs to get done. It's just like, if you think it needs to get done, like, it just like, then go, like, just go do it. And that was like the spirit of Maker. It still is. Like, there's people who just like show up and like they start contributing and they become known members of the community, and then like they'll apply for grants and stuff, and like, they just like sort of carve out their own role. And like, that's the path we're looking to take. Right now we're basically just building tech right now, and like as James said, like, there's no tech solution to that. So we have the discourse set up, and yeah, it's is invite only, but it's invite only in the sense that like we want to sort of protect, like, anyone can join. That's not the point. It's not like exclusive. It's just we want to like make sure we're talking like that there's like actual contributions, and that like there's actual technical discussion, governance discussion going on in the forums that is like there's like feedback driven, instead of like sort of like the quality of chat that you will see on Twitter sometimes, which is like ultra low quality. We sort of want to curate like good discussion around this, and that's the purpose for like this like slower rollout of it. But yeah, so we haven't done much thought in the governance system. We do know that we will use the a governance module or derivative of what's been created, where very similar to Maker, where anyone can execute changes on the protocol. Like, and it's not just like a bunch of developers buying a multi-sig implementing whatever they want. Like, the point is that you can create like arbitrary code that can be executed to change JET, and over time we distribute that, whether it's through like a steering committee, sort of like a board of community contributors who join and start helping, and like commensurate vote to their token position and like how they've sort of carved out roles in the community. And yeah, without sort of belaboring the point, because governance is quite a hard thing to discuss, and it can be very verbose. So yeah, we do have a discourse forum, and we're looking to kick this, like, going forward now, have people start like anything is really open, like also discussing code, like when we open source the MVP, like start getting feedback, and all of this is like will be noted. And yeah, also there's just like infinite, well, not quite infinite, but like there's an open slate in terms of constructing JET's governance system right now, and we're looking for people who just want like are up for that challenge.
Yeah, we've had people step up from the community, not just from like moderating and like flagging spam, but like actually coming up with ideas regarding different types of ways that we can implement with other projects, and different ways we could go with the actual core protocol. And so if we want everybody that's interested in this to chime in, and know that we're open to suggestion, and raise your own profile, and when as this thing grows, you'll have a part in it. And so that's we want to remain open with that. That's definitely not invite only. That's we want to be as inclusive as possible. And so if anybody has any questions about governance, you can reach out to us in the different chats that we have, but we'll be sending out an official announcement of how to join, and next steps on that. And speaking of next steps, we have one other kind of announcement that we want to share, and that is regarding the imminent Devnet deployment. And so, we've been getting this ready. We wanted to get this out so that people could test it as soon as possible, and also kind of get the code looked at by as many eyes as possible as well. So yeah, I don't know if anybody else wants to comment on the Devnet deploy.
mean, yeah, it's blockchain development, like it's, you see projects like we'll spend like 4 years working on something and launch it. And it's like, I mean, it moves fast, right? Blockchain, you gotta implement pretty quickly. And yes, that's the whole rationale. It's like, let's get things moving. Like, let's get feedback, see what people think of it. Like, it can always be changed. Like, you can always redeploy on Devnet at no cost, So we hope this Devnet cycle we think it'll be fruitful, get community feedback, implement, and then, yeah, on the path to mainnet, once we feel confident in the code and had third parties take a look at it, and get thumbs up. So yeah, with
yeah, I think like we don't want to be just working on some like theoretical product, like as if we know what the perfect thing is going to be and we'll roll it out whenever we're ready. It's like, we don't know everything. We need to get feedback from everybody else, and we want to be able to like provide value to people as soon as possible and give them like give everybody like exactly what is going to like facilitate them the best. So it's like, I think we think the best way to do that is just to like show you what we have as soon as possible and start moving in the direction of what the community wants.
That's right. We're excited.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, does anybody have any closing remarks? Any words of wisdom? All right. Well, thanks for everyone for tuning in, and thanks to the team for the demo and talking about the process. And we'll be interested to hear what you guys think of this presentation format. If you want more of it, something different, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll get a Twitch stream going at some point and do a live AMA, or maybe we'll just game the whole time. I don't know. But anyways, we'll be sending out an email newsletter update this week with the link to this video and also the next steps on the discourse and a little bit more details on what to expect with the Devnet deployment. So anyways, everyone have a great rest of your week, and thanks again for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.